There's so many ways for you to show up online, profit, and make an impact with your business. That's what the Heartcentered Business Success Show is all about. Inspiring you with stories of generous women and equipping you with real strategies to help your business succeed, because I know you've got a powerful gift to share. Thanks for tuning into the show. Record. Hello. Okay, I'm here with Chantelle Davis-Gray, and she is a web and graphic designer for Do Good, Feel Good businesses. And I'm just so delighted to talk with you this morning.
Me too. I'm so excited. So fun.
So why don't we dive in by just tell us a little bit about who you help and what you do in your business.
Sure. So like you said, I do graphic and web design for Do Good, Feel Good businesses. So I really help primarily women with their small businesses, with all of their design needs, really so that they don't have to be stressing about doing it themselves. So I take that stress away for them and really handle it for them. So I work with a lot of health coaches, yoga instructors, nonprofits, healers, really the juicy, feel-good people that are trying to make a difference in the world.
Yes. So before we dive into the two questions, and it's kind of related to the tell us the story of your first client, but how did you get started in this business? How did this all get started?
It has been a very, very long time coming. So I have been a graphic designer for, almost a long time, over a dozen years. We'll just leave it at that because I can't do the math in my head this early. But first I was in the corporate world for a long, long time doing graphic and web design, project management, all that stuff. And it got to the point where I just was not loving it anymore. That environment kind of beat me down and was sort of sucking the life out of me. And I was getting really interested in the wellness world. And so I actually went back to school and became a health coach. So that was my exit out of the corporate world. I was going to go be a health coach. And then I tried health coaching and I actually didn't love it that much. And simultaneously, I never stopped designing because all of my friends knew me as a designer. So I didn't really stop designing, but I was also health coaching. And then I sort of had a heart-to-heart with myself over about a year. And I finally admitted, I'm not loving this health coaching thing, but I love working with the health coaches. Mm-hmm. And I love working in this industry, but I don't actually love being the one doing the coaching. And I still love the design. It was so obvious, but it took me so long to see it that I should just be designing for the wellness industry. And so now I am, and I'm absolutely loving it. So it took me a long time to get here, but now that I'm here, it just is so aligned and it makes so much sense.
I love that story. And I bet some people watching can resonate, either having gone through a transformation like that or feeling like that's next for them. And that can be daunting, right? Because it's I finally am taking the leap and becoming an entrepreneur, and yet it doesn't feel good. I haven't found my thing yet. What are some words of advice you have for someone that's in that place of I took the leap, I'm trying to do my own business, but why doesn't it feel right?
Right. So my big thing, and of course this is going to be different for everybody, but I'm definitely an external processor. I need to talk it out with my friends and coaches. And so I think even if you can admit that you're not loving it to even one of your closest friends, and ideally it's someone else that is also maybe running their own business so that they understand. I think that is one challenge where when you try to talk to these things about your friends that are still in more of a traditional environment, they just think, well, of course you're miserable. That's so hard. You don't have any stability, and they can sort of project all of their fears onto you. So I think if maybe you can find a biz bestie to confide in or everybody, depending on how you go. I definitely talked to multiple people about what was going on with me, that I was really feeling conflicted and pulled in different directions, and let them reflect back to you. And also, as many of your listeners probably know, just the act of actually saying it out loud when you hear yourself, you're oh, whoa. Mm-hmm. So I definitely had a couple of those moments, especially near the end, where I was getting more and more honest about what I was loving and what I wasn't loving, and letting them reflect back to me and hearing myself. It was just okay. So I think it's really just saying it out loud, or maybe if you're not an external processor, maybe you're journaling it, but just even if you just start to admit it to yourself and then sort of explore what the reasons could be. Because in theory, maybe it is that you are still supposed to be doing what you do, but you really just hate an aspect of it. Like maybe you hate the design aspect, and that is bringing you so far down because every time you have to, do a social media post or update your website, it is so much stress for you. But if you could get help with that, the rest you're absolutely loving, then awesome. If like me, it's the actual core of your work that you're not loving, then maybe it's time to relook at things. But I think saying it out loud and starting to look at what actually is causing the discomfort and the unhappiness is a really good place to start.
I love that practical step. And I love that you're on the other side saying like, either way, you're safer on the other side of like confiding in someone, right? Either you're going to be able to make changes and like your business better, or you're going to overhaul your business, which is really hard, but you're not going to be miserable, right? So tell us about like you were plan B, right? Like change your whole business. Like tell us about a little bit about that transformation and then like the first client you landed in this new business.
Yeah. So like I said, so I really went back and forth, and I was doing both for a couple of years. I was health coaching and designing, but like my design wasn't my job at that point. It was just like this thing I was doing on the side for fun because I love it. And so once I made that decision, it was like no looking back. I have no regrets about not health coaching anymore, which kind of sounds funny, but I just don't. Like once I made that choice, done. Okay. I was ready, moving forward. And so since I had been doing some design for some friends throughout that time, it was just more of actually stepping into it and owning it. And instead of like, not that I was doing it in secret, but like I wasn't talking about it anywhere publicly. It was just a matter of making that shift and actually saying like, yep, I am redoing my website. I'm now taking on design clients. I'm no longer taking on health coaching clients. So it was really the actual logistics and making that shift after the decision had been made was easy. It was getting to that decision that was so hard. Like there was just so much wrapped in it. Like, am I a failure because I'm not health coaching anymore? Everyone at my old corporate job is going to think you're crazy. You left and now you're not even doing that. Like there was just so much mindset stuff that getting through that was the really hard part. And once that was done, moving forward was great. I mean, obviously it's still hard work, but it was like exciting, not exciting, like optimistic, woohoo, not, ooh, what am I doing anymore? So that was great. And then your other question was first client. So I don't actually remember my first client after I stopped health coaching, but I remember distinctly while I was health coaching, talking to a friend who had just become Reiki certified, and she wanted to start her new business. And I remember thinking, well, I can help you. Like, I want you to be able to share this. I mean, this woman has like some magic running through her veins, and I wanted everyone in our community to be able to have access to that. So I offered to do her website. So for that first, like during that overlap time when I was still health coaching, but doing design on the side, it was like things like that just kept happening where I would just be casually talking to a friend or a friend of a friend at a party, and they would mention some awesome business they were excited about, but they didn't know how they were going to get their website done. And it was just like, hello, universe, let me just plop this. I'll just plop this in your lap for you. And that was part of it was almost getting comical because I wasn't trying to be a designer when I was health coaching, but those kinds of things were just happening. And then I was like, okay, this is clearly like, I need to pay attention because I'm loving this work and I'm not actually even trying to get it. So really once I made the choice to stop health coaching, I just invited more of those opportunities in the beginning. And then eventually, once I got my website redesigned, started making it more public and actually making myself more visible in that way. So now I am getting those similar kinds of clients in that same wellness, awesome heart world, but I'm being more intentional and visible about it.
I love that story. So, and it's so beautiful to tell in hindsight, right? Yes. And like, what a story and beacon of hope in that, okay, I found my first client and I continually land clients, not because of like one perfect strategy, but because I was courageous enough to change my business to something that I was like, I could actually get paid for this. Like, I like it. Like it was
exactly.
So it was almost like changing your business is what helps you find clients, which is such an untraditional answer, right?
Yes. Completely. Completely. Yeah. And obviously like now I'm doing much more intentional, like thoughtful strategies towards it. But there are still those times where I'm just talking to someone and I didn't necessarily go into the conversation thinking, gee, I bet this person's going to be a new client. Especially back in the early days, it was just like chit chatting, so.
I love that answer so much. So as you've gone through this journey and even today, like what would you say is your biggest like hashtag heart-centered problem that you feel like you've overcome, and how, like, what's the truth that you're embracing to fight that?
So definitely still a work in progress. Depending on the week, I'm doing better at it or worse at it. But my heart-centered problem comes down to the money. So I clearly love helping people bring their work into the world. And I do that through creating their website or logo or whatever design aspects they need. And there are times where I'll be talking to someone and I'm so excited about whatever it is they're doing. And then I get the sense that like, they're not going to be able to necessarily have it in their budget to afford me. And that is the conflict. There are times when I'm like, okay, and of course this is an internal dialogue. I don't say this to them, but I'll just discount it because it'll like break my heart if they don't get their website out, or if they do get a website out, but it really doesn't reflect them and it's going to pain me to see it in a few months. I'll just discount myself and, be able to help them, whatever. But obviously like maybe once here and there is fine. But if I'm doing that to a lot of people, then like I end up kind of miserable because then I'm having to work like triple time to pay the bills. And so it doesn't really serve anybody in the end because then I'm not putting out my best work. So that's been probably one of my bigger heart-centered problems. So I think really recognizing it, of course, is always the first step. Working through it mindset wise and also rationally, like I just said, like really recognizing that if I'm doing that, then I'm not going to be able to put out my best work. Wow. And then something that's huge that you have said that I try to keep in the back of my head is like not assuming, like don't make that choice for them just because they've made a comment here or there that makes me think, oh no, they're not gonna be able to afford me. Like I haven't actually given them my full package to see if they say yes. Like who knows what they have going on. So that's been really, really helpful that I try to keep your voice like in the back of my head saying like, don't make the choice for them. Let them make the choice. Like, okay. So there are still some times where that happens, but overall I've gotten so much better over the last year about that. Like so much better.
I am so glad you shared that because I feel like probably every single heart-centered entrepreneur who's watching is like, me too. Like
exactly. Right? We want to help. That's why we're doing the work.
Yes. And I love that it sounds like what you're saying too, is like, we don't have to put our heart on pause. Like you can still help people and you can also get paid well, right? Like that, if it is hard to believe that we can have both, right?
Yes. 100%, especially in the beginning, because usually in the beginning, like your prices are low because you're just like dipping your toe in the water. At least for me, that's what it was. And so like, yes, I got people to sign on because I was like barely charging them. But then as I got more established and grew my confidence a little bit, like I raised my prices as we usually do. And every time it's scary. So yeah.
I love that you let your prices rise like with your confidence too.
Yes. It's been, definitely slow, but sure.
Beautiful. So beautiful. I feel like there's so many nuggets in here that we could just unpack for like 7 years. I know. Beautiful. Are there any other like heart-centered truths or like affirmations that are really core to you that you feel like help you get through as an entrepreneur in like the day-to-day roller coaster?
Yes. So another biggie is I just try to remind myself that like I have all of the time that I need to do what I need to do. Maybe I'm not going to get everything I want to do done, but that the necessities will get done. Because again, there are times like my October is fully booked, which is so exciting, but it definitely is requiring some calendar management and some shuffling at times. And so there are days where I'm like, heart palpitation, oh my goodness, so much to get done. And I just have to almost out loud sometimes tell myself like, okay, there is enough time to get what I need done. Like, it will be okay. I'm so good at prioritizing. It will all be fine. I've never missed a deadline. So it's like, that like part of you that like the fear starts making your heart pound. And then like my rational side has to just be like, okay, let's look at this rationally. You'll always figure it out. So just, whew. So keeping in mind that I have enough time. Marie Forleo's Everything is Figure Outable for sure. Especially when I'm doing like the tech side of a website, and say a client who's very, very untech savvy has given me like a messy domain and we need to move her email, like it just gets garbly. That's definitely okay, everything is figure outable. Again, like I've always been able to figure out in the past. Maybe this one's a new challenge, but next time it won't be. So those are two biggies for sure.
I love those. Yeah, that figure, and I'm sure that lots of people can resonate with that. I know I can. Like, okay, I figured this out in the past. I can do it again.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like really, I think looking at our past, and you are so good at helping me remember this, like using the past as evidence for the future.
Totally. Really going by our track records.
Yes.
So if someone is watching this and they are that person you described that has a tech garble,
yes,
or is like, I am one of those, like, I don't remember how you do good, feel good business owner.
Yes.
And I feel like I want for the first time, or I need a refresh of my website. Tell me how they can get in touch with you, or if you offer any free resources.
Awesome. So yes, of course, I would love to hear from everybody. My website is chantelledavisgray.com, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, I do actually have a freebie that helps with that. So it is 3 steps to take before you hire a designer, or even before you attempt to DIY your site yourself. So it really just helps you focus and figure out what are the 3 key things that you need before you get started. And so you can download and get that at chantelledavisgray.com/3 steps, like the number 3 steps.
Beautiful. I will link to that too.
Awesome.
But Chantelle, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your story and heart so openly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, your story and your message, so many people can resonate. I know I can. Like, as you're saying that, I'm like, yep, yes.
I love it.
Yes.
So, I know. So many common experiences, I think. Always so good to chat with you.
Being willing to vulnerably share.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.